Hi, this is Geraldine Ralph from Geraldine Ralph Studios, where we talk about everything having to do with art, photography, motherhood. If you don't know who I am, I have an early childhood program in my home, and I'm also a photographer, vlogger. I love to do a lot of things. I'm an entrepreneur, and I am here today to share 7 of my favorite tips for running your own early childhood program. So I started my early childhood program when my kids were little because I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom that gets paid. I was very adamant about myself being the person who my children came home to every day after school. I think all moms are great. I think moms that go out and work are great. I think moms that stay home are great. I wanted to be both. I wanted to be a staying at home working mom who's always available to my kids. But I'm not going to say that the job is easy, guys. It is not easy. I've been doing this for 25 years. So when my kids were little, there was a lot that went into figuring out how to balance family life and work life and dealing with clients and making sure that other people's children had all of their needs met and my own children had all of their needs met, and just putting together a whole program and having people in and out of the house all the time. It's a lot of work. It really is. But for those of us like myself who really want to be home and really want to do their own thing with their own kids, it could be a great way for you to earn income and to care for your children. So I have 7 tips for you. There's so many things that I could go on about, but I'm just going to give you a few things. I was thinking, well, if I were just starting out, what would I really want to know? What would be helpful for me to know? So number one thing that I think is really helpful for you to know, whether you are a married mother or a single mother and you are just really dedicated to caring for your children and caring for other people's children, number one, own your own home. Okay. I was married, my husband got sick, my daughter got sick, and at one point I was the only person bringing in a reliable, stable income for my family. So having an early childhood program in my home was a huge lifesaver. My daughter was sick, so she needed me to be able to be home to take care of her at the end of the school day because there were many days that she couldn't go to school. She had stomach migraines, so it wasn't anything contagious. But it was something where she couldn't go to school. She needed to be able to be home. I needed to be able to be available to her. And, it was a huge lifesaver. Had I been working outside of the home, I wouldn't have been able to keep a job because honestly, she was sick for so long and it took them like 5 years to figure out what was wrong with her. But anyways, I'm going down to a twisty turny path there. What I would say is own your own home. And having my own space, having my own home has given me the opportunity to be able to do whatever it is that I need to do to my space in order to make it work for me. In my personal home, the home that I chose, when I was purchasing my home, I knew I was going to be buying a home that was going to be also my business. So I chose a home that had 2 living rooms. The front of my house is the front living room. When my kids were younger, that was their space. They had their very own space. The space that we're in right now was my family room. That was where the adult space was. So at the end of the day, I could have my own space to decompress. And then in my basement is where I have my preschool classroom set up. I have another video that I will show you another day. But anyway, so it's really nice to be able to have that space. And over the years, I have been able to change a lot of different things in my home and to be able to have the freedom to do whatever I want to my own space to make it work for me. So I really think it's important to have your own home. If you're running a business in somebody else's home, it's going to be a little bit more challenging for you because they have a say over what you're going to be doing with your space. So having your own home is really important. Also, you get a lot of tax write-offs. Because I have owned my own home, a portion of all of my expenses on my home and a portion of my house payment is a tax write-off. So that's really helpful for me because, the more write-offs you have, the less taxes you have to pay at the end of the year. So that's really important. Step number 1 is own your own home. Step number 2, have a beautiful environment. I think it's really important to have a beautiful environment. I mean, first of all, myself, I'm at home. So I want all of the space that I'm going to be spending all of my time in to be really beautiful and to be very visually appealing. Also, from your client's perspective, when your client comes into your home, they want to make it feel very homey and or they want to feel like they're very welcome. They want to feel like your space is very homey, that it's bright, that it's well lit. When I had my daycare upstairs, when I very first started opening and I was like, oh, is this daycare thing going to work out or not? I had it upstairs in the front room because there were a lot of lights in there. That space is now my studio. But that's the space in that space in my house had a lot of light. It's a very open room. It's nice and clean and airy. And I just wanted the kids to feel happy and energetic. Myself, I know I'm definitely affected by light. So it's really important to have a beautiful space where the children can play. Now my preschool is in my basement. I wanted a larger space. But when I put my basement together, I was really thinking about light. I hired somebody to come in and add a lot of lights. I think I have something like 35 lights down there or something like that, which to some people might seem like overkill. But when you're spending your whole day in the basement, you really want to know that you have a lot of light because, you know, the windows that I have in my basement are traditional basement windows. I also have an egress window in my basement. So if you're running a home preschool in your basement, you're definitely going to need to have an egress window. I think my egress window was probably around $3,500, something like that. It's 100% worth it in my opinion because you get all of that extra space in your home. So you want to definitely make the space beautiful. And over the years, I've done a lot of different things, but number one thing that I do is I just have a very neutral, cohesive color palette. I haven't really had to change my color palette very much. The color palette in my preschool is the traditional birch furniture. And then I have like the IKEA stuff and it's white and silver and birch. So it's all really bright and the light just kind of bounces around in my preschool classroom from all those extra lights that I put in. And I'm always switching it up and I'm always setting it up so that it looks really beautiful for my families. So you definitely want to have a beautiful space. That means get rid of all the clutter. So if you have some toys that aren't really working for you or they're not pretty, they're not the newest and greatest toys, it's less is more, guys. It's better to have less toys and have nicer toys than to have a bunch of clutter and junk down in your preschool classroom. So number one is own your own home. Number two is make it a beautiful environment. And number three, have a variety of spaces for your children throughout the day. So my preschool classroom, we have, well, in my home daycare, I have my family room. And then I have my studio. I'm a photographer as well and videographer, so I have a lot of spaces to work in for the kids. Then we also have the preschool classroom that's downstairs, and then we have another art studio out in the garage. I've recently turned my garage into an art studio for the children, so they have another beautiful space outside to be able to work in. And then we also have like just our regular outdoor play space. So that gives the kids a lot of space to move around and a lot of opportunities for exploration. Also, when my clients come into my space, they see, oh, wow, she really has like a lot of space, a lot of opportunities for the kids. They're not just stuck in one bedroom or one basement room or, you know, whatever, locked up in the living room. The kids have a lot of space. Now, my kids are not allowed to just willy-nilly wander through the house and do whatever they want. We're all together in whatever space it is that we're working on because I also like to keep my space clean and organized. So when the kids come in, we're all in the same space. Sometimes, well, right now, because we have COVID-19 happening, sometimes we're going to be meeting outside once we restart. So the kids will be outside in the studio all together. And then when we wash hands, we come inside. We'll be in the preschool, you know, for nap time. Then we'll come back together and we'll be outside. So whatever space we're in that space all together. And the kids come into that space. We play or do our preschool work or whatever it is that we're going to do. We clean the space up. Then we move on to the next space. So I think it's really important to have a lot of space and opportunities for the children indoors and outdoors. So I also have some other great tips for you. Like I invested in this really incredible stroller that I have for my preschool. It's a 6-person stroller. We take it to a lot of local parks. And the great thing about this stroller is that I just load the kids up and we can go to the park and I don't have to invest a lot of money in equipment and gear on my in my actual space. My yard is actually kind of small. So okay, so first we're going to have our own home, right, girls? We're going to have a beautiful environment. We're going to have the indoor and outdoor space. Number 4, and these are in no particular license, actually, or no particular order. This should actually be number 1. You definitely want to be licensed. Absolutely, 100%. Oh, yeah, definitely get a license. And the reason why, well, there's so many reasons why. Number one, in a lot of states, it's illegal to run an early childhood program without a license. But I can tell you from personal experiences, I've had some very scary situations with children. I've been working with children for over 25 years. I had a little girl fall and smash her nose on the concrete, tripped over her own feet, and we thought she was going to have to go in and have reconstructive surgery on her nose. Thank God she was okay. Another little boy had a seizure, totally random. Nothing was, out of the ordinary. Woke up from nap, seemed a little bit, sleepy or out of sorts, whatever. Developed a fever, went into a seizure, and we were in the emergency room until, oh, I don't even know. I think it took him probably like 40 minutes to come out of the seizure. I was terrified the whole time. I'm like, oh my gosh, thank God I'm licensed. Thank God that I get my first aid and my CPR every year. Thank God that I did all the things that were right. It was completely out of my control, but this child had a seizure. And, had I not been licensed, I really would have been worried about my own, well, worried, of course, about the child first and foremost. But even after all of that's taken care of, then worry about myself legally. Am I okay? Am I covered? Am I going to get in trouble for having a child in my home that has a seizure? It's completely out of my control. I've also had children fall down. I had one little boy. Two children were playing at the top of the stairs. I was watching them. One of the children pushed the other child down the stairs, accidentally, playfully, whatever. Child goes rolling head over heels, breaks his clavicle bone. Here we go again. We're off to the ER. Another child got stitches in his hand. I mean, this is 25 years, so it doesn't happen that often. But when it does happen, when you have those situations where you're watching the children and doing everything right, somebody gets hurt, there's, whatever, the boo-boo, it's so good to know that you have had your license, that you've had your home inspected, and that you can prove that you did all of the things to do that you needed to do in order to protect the children and create a safe environment for them. And also, sometimes as parents and educators, sometimes, we think we have all of our ducks in a row when it comes to safety, but until you have somebody come into your home and review everything, you don't know for sure. You could be making a mistake, you could oversee something, or there could be some little thing that that could be happening where somebody could get hurt. So get a license. Also, it makes you look professional. You want to be professional, right? I mean, if you want to get the best pay in this career, you definitely want to look professional. Number 5, one of my recommendations, don't take infants. I love infants. I think infants are wonderful. As a photographer, infants are great. They're snuggly, they're sweet, they're cute, they're cuddly, all that other wonderful and incredible stuff. When I first started my early childhood program, I had infants through 5-year-olds, actually, and then I had my own children too on top of that. Wow is all I can say. Wow. You've got all the extra baby stuff. They've got, you have to do all the bottle feedings and then the extra naps, and you have to have all the extra apparatus for the babies. They need, I call them the baby catchers. You got the bouncers and the this and the that, all this big bulky infant stuff, and you really don't make very much more. When I first started, I don't even know if I was charging more for infants because I didn't know what I was doing. So I definitely would not take infants anymore. In my world, I also from caring for children for the first, I don't even know, probably like the first 12 years of my career, I ended up hurting my back. And, I'm not a very big person, and a child, carrying babies all day, every day. At one point I had 2 babies and then 4 toddlers and preschoolers. That was just insanity. I don't even know what I was thinking. I would never do that again. I don't take babies anymore. I love babies, but they're heavy and they're bulky and they take up a lot of space in my early childhood program. And for the financial payoff, you're not really going to get anything extra. So I would definitely recommend not taking babies. And I got a little squishy in the heart, and I've had moms who are like literally in tears, like, oh no, what am I going to do? Now I have to find another caregiver. And it sucks. It really sucks to have to like put your foot down and say, no, I'm not doing this, but I can promise you that you're going to be happier in the end. So don't take babies. Number 6, definitely have social media. It's free advertising. Free advertising. The wonderful thing about social media. So when I first started my early childhood program, I'm just doing my job, doing my, going about my daily business, doing my work. And I had one of my clients come in, and, I run a preschool program. So I've always done preschool work with my children. I've had my degree pretty much since I opened. And I've always, done preschool activities with my kids. One of my moms made a comment like, oh, well, when they start going to preschool, then they'll start learning. I was like, what do you think we're doing here all day? Seriously, like dagger to the heart. I was really not happy about it. So anyways, so I decided to really start educating my clients and showing them that all day long we're doing preschool things and educating them and helping them understand how learning through play is the best way for children to learn. So having a Facebook page is great. It's also a great way for you to advertise. Wonderful way for you to advertise because anytime, I mean, of course, you know, you're going to be on your social media and it's really easy to post one thing a day. I have a few different classes that I have created for early childhood professionals so that you guys can be posting and know how to make or how to create beautiful images for your Facebook and your social media profiles. You could be the best provider ever, but if nobody sees your work, then they don't know how great you are. So that's the beauty and the joy of. Hi. Hi, can you do that in there, please? I'm on. Thank you. I'm on YouTube and my son's walking around in here topless talking at the top of his lungs. Yeah. So Facebook page is really important for you to have. Instagram, YouTube, whatever it is that you do, create content for your program. And it can be something as, I know you're busy, ladies. I know you're really busy. So it can be something as simple as just creating a photograph and a little, you know, 2 or 3 sentences of what you did for the day. When parents see what you're doing, they value it. When they value it, then they want to come to you. They send you new clients and everything is happy and wonderful. And tip number 7, right along lines with have your own social media profile, have business cards. I can't tell you how many times I'm out walking with my kids and people will come up to me and they see me walking with all my children and they see all my kids are really great and well behaved. And then they're like, oh, wow, this is amazing. So, you know, what are you a daycare or whatever? And so I say yes. And so I have business cards. I'm always giving them my business cards. I'm always talking about, you know, my program and what I have available for families who want to come to my program. So again, to review the 7 tips for a home daycare provider, somebody who's considering this right out of the gate. Number 1, own your own home. It's a tax write-off and you want to be able to do everything that you can to your home. You want to be the boss of everything in your world. Okay, right, mamas? That's what you want. Number 2, create a beautiful environment. Everybody wants to be in a beautiful environment. Number 3, have an indoor space and an outdoor space. Actually have a few indoor spaces. You will go absolutely bat crazy, bat beep crazy if you are stuck inside of a basement or a small room all day long. Definitely make sure that your space has beautiful lighting. Okay, number 4, get a license. Actually, that should have been number 1, but you definitely want to get a license. Number 5, don't take infants. There's all the crying and all of the stuff and all of the extra. No, don't do it. Plus they're sick for the whole first year. They're just always sick. And then the parents are like blaming it on the daycare and whatever. Like it can be a whole thing. I just, you know, I think that grandmas are perfect for infants the first year. If you're lucky enough to have a grandma, you need to sing her praises. Anyways, yeah, if you're a home daycare provider, just don't do it. It's a lot of work. Save that for the center. Number 6, have a Facebook page or Instagram or YouTube. Figure out what you want to do and do it. Be present every single day. Show people what you're doing. You can't just walk around saying, oh, I'm the best daycare provider ever, and not show them pictures of kids happy and joyful and having a great time. Go and do what you need to do. And number 7, business cards. Run around telling everybody how incredible you are because you're over here working your tiny little tail off and nobody's going to know about it unless you tell them. Okay, so I hope this video helped you. For more content, I would love it if you subscribe to my channel, tell all your friends, send them my way. So the reason why my channel is called Geraldine Ralph Studios is because I have 3 studios in my home, guys. I'm an artist, I'm a photographer, I'm a vlogger, I have my early childhood program. I love being creative. I love creating content for you. So if you have any questions about art, photography, or motherhood, let me know, comment below, and I will